Well, welcome back to the Installer Plaza. Now, if you're hanging around here, you're here for a good session. This is like, I don't know what to call this really. I mean, I look down the line. The number of years between you that you've served in this business is not many, obviously. Look at you all. It's so lovely to see you. So we're calling this the view from the front line, and I'm joined by some of our favourite installers, a couple who aren't, for a unique look at what's happening in the industry. But you lot, you're on the front line every day, working around the country on various different jobs and projects. So what's the industry been like in the last 12 months? What is the outlook for this year? And what direction of travel do they think that we're going to go in? Introduce yourselves one by one, starting at this end.
My name's Andy. I'm also known as Gasman God.
I'm Emma Bohan. I'm the MD of IMS Heat Pumps, and I hate
just like
heat
that,
pumps.
Emma, just like that.
I hate heat pumps.
You hate heat pumps. She hates heat pumps. Next, Briggsy.
I'm Ian Briggs from IRB Heating. I do mainly gas boilers. That's my main thing.
Lovely. Emma.
Emma Morris. I work for Valent on the renewable side.
Thank you.
I'm Swetta. I work for BEAMA, a trade association, and I'm head of smart energy systems.
Now then, panel. Did you hear what the minister just said? Any comment to make on that? Emma, I'm sure you're going to have something to say. Oh, hang on. What does that say? It says...
IMS gas boilers.
Just hold it like this. If you
IMS gas boilers.
Right.
Rebranding. Because we are on our arse a bit. Sorry.
No, it's all right. Just hold the microphone nice and close.
The minister is correct, but everybody who knows me knows I love an analogy, and the analogy is we wrote to Father Christmas and we said, please, Father Christmas, can we have a Barbie house? And Father Christmas said, yes, you're going to get a Barbie house. And we opened the Barbie house, and it was a list of instructions of how the Barbie house was going to be put together, but without any of the bits for the Barbie house. But they're working at pace to deliver the Barbie house to us, but we're all still waiting and we're bereft. So, like a lot of people in my industry, interestingly, going back to gas boilers, I'm not there yet, I've not transitioned, but I might have to because Andy's bought me a spoon because he's going to rip me a new one. I've not got any Vaseline. But it could be so much more than it is now.
You think? And how much difference would that make to you?
Listen, I employ nearly 60 people across 3 sites.
Right, okay.
We are still here. We're still doing okay. We've had to transition into solar PV and batteries. This is the holy triangle. Let's not get that wrong. But right now, cost of living, the spark gap being the highest it's ever been, you're asking somebody to invest, even with a £9,000 grant, the best part of £5,000 or £6,000 to promise them what? Cost neutrality? Then we introduced you to 15,000 quid's worth of new technology, solar PV battery, and that's how you're going to save the money.
You want to jump in,
I did
don't
tell
you?
you this was coming, didn't I?
Don't you just love a smug git?
Yeah, I'm having this
Especially
moment.
the ones who say, I told you so.
This is my time to shine right
Don't
now.
give it him yet, You can't take that panel yet. You can't.
Emma, let me just stay with you for a second. Let's set the scene with some numbers. Heat pump numbers looking in 26-25 compared with previous years.
So, well, if we can go right back, the 24 to 23 increase was 47%. The 25 to 24 was about 17. The 25 to 26, we're down 19%. Now, that doesn't show the whole picture. Let's be truthful. They rightly kicked Eco4 into the woods. It needed a whole-scale reformation, and that does affect the numbers. Eco4 delivered heat pumps at scale to those people who really need help to, decarbonise and save money, make a warmer, nicer climate in their home. But the able-to-pay market, of which the boiler upgrade scheme, you can throw all the money you like at a scheme, but people still have to contribute the £7,500, and this is part of the Warm Homes Plan, the promise of a a further loan, 0% interest or low interest loan, because as much as they keep asking installers to bring the cost down, it stubbornly sits at around another £7,500, which is a big chunk of money for even the people who are able to pay to save no money on their bills. I feel a bit like Whitney Houston, you know, think about the children.
But you wish you had her money. But I just, Ian and Emma, just wonder if you've got any comments on what the minister said at all. Did it ring true? Did it sound hopeful? How did it sound to you?
I mean, it's, for me, everything that he said on paper is great, is perfect. But who's out there monitoring this and
We don't live on paper, do we?
We don't live on paper, exactly that. So it's all worked beautifully in theory, but they're not monitoring it out there in the real world, and then it's up to manufacturers, I think, to pick that up. So all absolutely perfect, but actually we're picking up installs that need redoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ian, did you want to say something?
I missed what he said, so I can't comment.
Fair enough.
I'll just go back to say, like, I did hear some of what he said.
Yeah.
And I would always invite the MP for Strathclyde or wherever he was.
Yeah.
I'd invite him to come along with me in the van for the day and come and see the real
I don't think
world.
we should subject him to that, to be
Yeah,
honest.
no, we should, because they sit in Westminster and they sit in their little ivory towers and they write it all down with all these ideas, but they never, ever, ever go and meet the end user.
No, that's fair enough.
Come with me for the day and we'll meet some customers.
Well, I think one of the things, that's why I asked him the question about talking to installers and so on and so forth, and it kind of answered the fact that what he's been trying to talk to them here. I guess it's impossible in many ways for them to do that because they're torn. I'm not trying to defend him, I'm just saying the reality of what it is, and this week's quite a busy week for him anyway, but go on, Emma, are you going to...
Yeah, no, well, which is why I was about to say I'll put my other hat on, which is Vice Chair of the Heat Pump Association UK, at which point it's really vital that the installers get involved in that, because they are the channels by which ministers get the advice and guidance.
So do you get to talk to parliamentarians at all?
We do,
yes.
As an organisation. So, you know, Damon Blakemore, Yorkshire and Humber's finest installer, 1979 years running. He is regularly in touch with various people in DESNES and ministers, and so we, as a collective, have a voice that finally represents people at the coalface, all the pun intended, to try and make things easier and better, and to understand that, you know, it's great to hear a £15 billion investment, but a £15 billion investment delivered in 24, 12, 18 months' time doesn't help us today, and it doesn't help me pay 60 mortgages.
No, I get that completely. Thank you. Swetta, let me come to you. Do you have any figures at all comparative to... Emma was giving some figures there earlier for heat pumps. What about for boiler installs? Have you got any figures at all?
Yeah, I think in the last
just hold that nice and close.
In the last 4 years.
There you go.
In the last 4 years, we've seen a bit of a decline on gas boilers. I think we're about 300k down. I think overall, the expected boiler installs for this year is around 5% less than we've seen. I mean, we've had the heat pump statistics a couple of weeks ago, and it's showing that there is a bit of a decline for heat pumps, and we've got to question ourselves why there as well. You know, I think we're in an energy crisis anyway. You know, people are finding it hard to even put food on the table at the moment. You know, in terms of the grants, you're going to see that there is a level of early adopters and people who are, pardon, you know, the terminology, but middle class that can actually afford the heat pumps. For example, I've just bought a new house, and I got, I'm not going to mention names, but I got a heat pump manufacturer to come in, and they quoted me 22k with the 7.5 grant. But that was also for a battery and 13 solar panels. Sounds like a good deal, but I've just bought a new house, and I don't think I've got that kind of investment to put out there. And not only that, I think when we talk about the kind of technology that we're talking about and doing the electrification journey in peace and moving away from gas, you've got to also think about the smart techs and the controls that comes with that. Does the consumer actually understand what they're getting, how it's working? I think, you know, at some stages we do get a bit of bad press around heat pumps, but do they actually, you know, understand it well? Is there an installation issue? So I think, you know, there just needs to be a level of understanding on how we're going to manage the installs over the next few years.
Well,
one more thing,
yeah,
sorry, just
That's
one
all
more thing. I think also when we do installations, there's got to be that kind of feedback loop. You know, I think we're all new to this technology, and so are the installers. 3 years ago, installers didn't want to know about putting a heat pump in a property. That it was easy to just do a gas boiler. And I think, you know, there's a case of giving them some confidence as well. I know you're 3 years down the line, but it's that loop round of educating, understanding what's going wrong, what can we put right, and so on.
Go on.
So it's just interesting that, you know, within the 20% year-on-year correlation of reduction in able to pay, the one remarkable thing, and it probably accounts for some of the 300,000 less boilers, is that the new build industry is on the up. 18% increase in MCS registered new builds, which is interesting considering that there is no compunction to MCS and new build. But the new build installers are on that train. The Future Home Standard is on the list of items from my Barbie house coming down the road. But they've seen that writing on the wall, and they are making that transition and building properties that are fit for the future and not sticking gas boilers on. What we need now is that momentum. I think, you know, we're over it in terms of, can heat pumps heat homes? Yes, they can. Can they do that at low temperatures? Yes, they can. Where we're stuck is, can they save you money? And that sits entirely with the spark gap. We have the highest spark gap in Europe. It was increased in April. June, it comes down slightly, but we are at no level that says, get a heat pump, it'll be cheaper.
Right. Now, look, I need to pick up you two on one thing, because last year, it has to be said, there are a couple of words said between you.
One or two.
No, I'm just putting it out there, which tends to happen every time we have one of these panels with the two of you on it. But quite extraordinarily, the unthinkable happened, I heard, that the two of you worked together on a heat pump quote for one of your customers, Andy.
Do you want me to do this,
What's
Bill?
happened to... Have you begged forgiveness?
No. I listened to what Emma had to say last year, and I'm interested, because, I mean, I'm not worried about how I make money as long as I make money. So I had a quote come through for a heat pump. I rang up Emma. I said, Emma, help me out. Emma helped me out. No end. We did the job together. We worked it all out. Emma did the plans. And he couldn't have a heat pump, could he?
Well, he could, but only if in his new build bungalow, fully underfloored throughout, to meet MCS requirements, he needed to put a radiator in his living room.
So his house was perfect for it, but to get the £7,500,
Yes.
he had to rip up the brand new floor and put a massive... How big was the radiator?
It was a K3.
It was like 3 metres long by 700 millimetres high. Bloody great big radiator on the wall. And he was like, well, no, I'm not doing it.
But you did agree on something. Ish.
And the thing about it
We
is-
agreed it was a waste of time.
Well, listen, randomly, there is still a quote out there, just half a mile away from where Andy lives, where he's not said yes, but he's also not said no, and that was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, well, I mean, we weren't put off by the first one, were we?
We weren't put off by the
So
first
we
one.
did another one.
However,
There's
Andy pointed out something that, you know, is something that is discussed in the industry, and again, join the HVA UK, you can have your voice said. Is the red tape, the bureaucracy that comes with the business that we have got, and this additional level of, you know, you say 3 years, but we've been doing it since 1997. You know, all day long, I could promise that chap he'll be fine. But if you want to tick a box to get a grant, you've got to jump through another hoop.
Yeah, okay.
That was the ridiculous thing. I mean, it was the first one I'd ever done, and I chatted to Emma, we took loads of pictures and videos, and it was absolutely made for a heat pump. It was perfect. Wasn't
Okay, I'm glad
And
I
I would-
asked.
it would have been done. But it didn't happen, and it never will now, will it?
I never say never.
But the
I'm saying
collaboration,
never.
might happen again. I mean, which is nice to see.
Oh, do you know what? I love Emma. She's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't waste my time. I'd rather go and fit a gas boiler.
Wow.
Well, that's half the problem, isn't it? Because it is easier and it is quicker and it earns you money. You know, IMS gas boilers, here I come. So maybe this year I'll be collaborating with Andy on how I
Come
just
round.
go to City Plumbing, pick 24 kilowatts off a shelf and ram it into
Right,
somebody's
okay,
home.
Slam it in.
right.
Turn
We've
it
all had
up.
a drink. Let's calm down. Ian, let me come to you. From your customer base, what trends are you noticing in the type of work and jobs you're being asked for? Is there any particular thing that you're noticing?
So obviously people are still coming through. Most people have got a gas boiler already in their house. So that's what they've got. That's what they're used to. They know how it works. It's reliable. It is efficient. And, you know, but at the same time, you go to a job and literally every single person will ask about heat pumps. They will come in and say, well, what about the heat pumps? Will that work? This is good, you know. So everyone's aware of it. Everyone's asking about it. But as we touched on earlier as well, it's a case of cost. Because a lot of I do boiler quotes.
Is that the biggest driver?
It's one of them.
Right.
But the cost is like, I do a boiler quote now, and I'm sure everyone knows already that just materials in general has gone through the roof, like massively. So I do a boiler quote, and I look at it and I think, well, that's expensive. So if you're then presented with a heat pump quote, even with the grant, you look at that, and you know, as Emma said as well, it's cost of living crisis and things like that. You do have to look at it and you think, I mean, it might be great for the planet, it might be this, it might be that, but I just haven't got that much money. I can't afford it.
Emma, let me bring you in.
So we've done a couple of trade shows over the last few weeks, which has been quite homeowner based. And you'll find that a lot of people are quite shocked by the fact that they're not getting a full heating system inside that £7,500 grant, because they've had a price for a boiler, and then they've had a price for a heat pump, and they're just astounded by the fact that they've still got a chunk of money, as Emma said, you know, to pay. But the interest is there. And like Emma said, it's the tape, everything. And people want that full electrified trilogy. They want the heat pump, they want the battery, they want the PV, they want all that. But then you've got the red tape, then you've got the cost. You know, it's just, they're saying that they're putting things out there to make that easier and easier for the homeowner, easier for the installer, but again, on paper, it's not. They've got no real-world experience with this. They're not going out and speaking to people and asking them what the problem is.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned the cost there. I just wonder, for all of you, really, how are the things like cost of gas and electricity, cost of materials affecting you and your customers? Just, who wants to pick that up?
I mean, I'm not an installer, and I know, speaking to people daily, the cost is absolutely... I'm married to an installer, and... And what even the increase on looking at his invoices on the gas side, which is the cheaper side, and then you've got to look at, because it is a bigger system and you do need bigger products and you need more products. Like I say, not even from an installer perspective, ridiculous.
How difficult is it for an installer to put up a price? Because you're almost embarrassed sometimes at the price.
I mean, there's no structure with it. It's just a case of they can put things up and that's okay. Nothing's looked at.
They can do it within weeks. I mean, good suppliers will give you 3 or 4 months notice, maybe. You know, everybody knows the 1st of January is going up. But, you know, at the moment, you know, with so many boats stuck on the other side of Hormuz, you know, every single week it feels like, oh, from the 1st of, another 10%, from the 1st of, another 2%. I mean, and that's just on your materials alone. Then we've had the national insurance price increase last year, which with the workforce of 60, you know, that batters you. My diesel bill has gone from roughly £3,000 a month to nearly 6 to deliver the same jobs in the same areas.
But you can't really pass on to a great extent.
It's really
How
difficult.
do you?
The thing about it is you can pass it on, but then you're competing with bigger sixes who don't have, you know,
can swallow
they
that
don't have,
cost
they
to a
can
certain
swallow
extent.
the losses. You know,
Yeah.
if I was to publish a loss of some of the big six on an annual accounts basis, they'd throw me off every scheme going.
Yeah.
But you know, that's fine for the big six. In the meantime, you're just then more expensive against a thing that's expensive anyway.
Yeah. So it's a really tough go on.
I think that, I mean, materials-wise, I mean, Ian will stay the same, you know. Go and buy a piece of copper now. I mean, it makes you cry when you walk in the shop and you need to go and spend 300 quid on some copper. It won't even get you anywhere. You'll need to spend probably best part of £1,000 to do a whole house.
So how are you facing that situation? Is it a question of educating the customer? Because every customer's going to go, it's going to be a sharp intake of breath.
I do have to explain it to them and say, look,
come with me to the merchant or whatever, and I'll show you the cost.
This is how much it's costing. I'm not putting a markup on it, really.
Yeah.
This is what it's going to cost. And copper goes up and down. Well, it's up and up and up. Doesn't really go down, I don't think, does it?
I don't think it's really come down since COVID, has it?
it's a great opportunity, wasn't it?
We watched it double in COVID, never come down, and just continue to go back up, because if people are paying it, why are they going to bring it back down? You know, you can quote for a job and 6 weeks later you've got to re-quote.
Petrol prices go up quite quick, take a long time to come back down again, don't they? Ian, go on, what were you going to say?
Yeah, so I was just going to say that I've got a job that I'm starting next week. I'm going to fit a gas boiler for someone, but they'd actually contacted a company to do a heat pump quote. Their words to me was they got up to the first floor and they said, no, you're finished, you can't have it. So they'd gone down the avenue of getting one, inquiring for one, and they just couldn't have one. So I went around to quote for a gas boiler, and then, you know, going on what you were saying there, I was up against other companies. They actually did come back to me and say I was like 40% more expensive or something than British Gas. And I was like, well, then you've got to sort of like defend yourself a little bit and say, have they quoted for the same stuff? Is it the same thing? Are they going to do the same job? I mean, I know that I'm going to do it properly. So, you know, and in the end, they've decided to go with me. But even that job was, once again, I looked at the total ticket price of that, and I did think
you can't blame them. You can't blame them for questioning. Swetta, let me bring you in. What is the industry and government doing to help installers combat this the cost of living crisis?
I think there's a bit of a gap. I mean, you heard my question to Martin McCluskey earlier. He didn't quite answer the question that I was wanting to ask.
Strange for an MP not to answer a question, isn't it? What?
But you know, when I asked him what's missing from Warm Homes Plan, what I was alluding to is, I guess, the additional different types of technologies as well, because it's not. I'm so sorry, guys. I know I feel like I'm slating heat pumps, but I also represent heat pumps. But I think, you know, we're talking about costs, we're talking about installations, as we've already heard on the panel here. But it needs to be a little bit more than that. You know, well, what's the implementation? How we're going to support the installers? Going back to, you know, 3 years ago, I couldn't get anybody to quote me for a heat pump because they're like, oh, just get a boiler. It's much easier to install. So I think I'd like to see with the Warm Homes Plan a little bit more about implementation and how they help installers, but also is consumer understanding and how consumers are going to use some of this smart technology. We're talking about electrification here. You know, how they're going to understand what your heat pump, your EV, your battery, your solar are doing. And a lot of that is a bit of an education piece. So from a government policy and what might be missing, I think that perspective on just that education piece, you've got to make your installers more confident. And that kind of landscape of policy and standards and compliance is massive at the moment. This electrification piece that we're doing is, you know, it's not a walk in the park. There are so many things that a manufacturer and for products you need to think about. Well, imagine what that means to the installer. They have to go and speak to the manufacturer, but how many manufacturers are in this piece of install that you need to do? And Gasman over there is talking about the cost of getting these materials. And it's also, you know, the amount of effort that it takes to get to site and put all of those things together. So there isn't that much kind of support from government, especially under the Warm Homes Plan. I'd like to see a bit more of that. And we can't just keep talking about grants with a narrow view of some of the technologies. Somebody also touched earlier on not being able to get the heat pump into this property that you went to see. You know, I think we know that there's around 20% of homes that can't have a heat pump because of the way that the dwelling is. You know, and that's okay. You know, and we've got to look and address that with other different types of products and technologies. And that's also available. But it doesn't seem that there's a grant for those technologies either.
And I guess also the age profile of the customer probably comes into play to a certain extent. When you're talking about education, the younger customer is probably more educated, if you like, than the older customer, although ironically the older customer probably has more disposable income than the younger customer.
I think the older customer's got more disposable, they've got the money to spend.
Yeah. But they don't want to spend it.
They've got a beautiful house they don't want torn to pieces.
Yeah.
Why would you?
No, I agree. Go on.
You're like 75 years old.
And this is the thing, so there is innovation occurring in the industry. We just won an award with an innovation on my property. I've got a 1910 terrace. Nothing out of the ordinary.
The whole terrace or just one part? No, it's not. Yeah.
There's nobody made money in heat pumps unless you're Graham Hendra. So within that property, though, my husband has spent an enormous amount of money on oak floors.
Right.
MCS said every single radiator out, bigger radiators, extra radiators. Adia Thermal said, nah. So I saved 7 grand's worth of radiator upgrades. I did not destroy my oak floor and my marriage, and therefore was allowed a heat pump. I didn't change tariffs because I'm just a glutton for punishment, and it cost me £3. Now, with 7 grand back in the bank from no radiator upgrades, it could cost me £3 a year every year till I die, and I'll never regret upgrading the radiators.
Yeah.
But that's an installer company with knowledge and experience who will take that fight to MCS.
That's the thing.
And not everybody has that.
No, exactly. Emma, you were going to...
Yeah, so that is a big thing, because some people out there haven't got the knowledge to offer an option. It's a case of we're ripping everything out because they're not prepared to look specifically at what can stay in. You know, I delved down the retrofit hole a few years ago, and that grew arms and legs. And you know, if somebody couldn't have a heat pump, we'd redesign the boiler system to make it more efficient. We'd look at it in that way. Or they're having renovations done, and you could tell them how to upgrade slowly, then come back in a year, then we'll put a heat pump in. But we're getting installers, and not installers, I want to take that back. We're getting companies that are going into houses and just saying, yeah, we need to rip all this out. All your flooring needs to come up, all that pipework needs to come out your walls, and then we're going to put this there because that's the best place for it. There's a lot of people not looking at it specifically. And then it just instills an element of fear of where do we go, what do we do? Fear factor's a big thing, isn't it? Massive thing. And like you say, with controls and things like that, you know, they're going from just switching something on and off to then having to modulate something. And
calm down, Tiger.
I'm ready to go.
He's chomping. He's chomping. Let's release the tiger. Release the beast.
One of the things that really annoys me, right, is ripping out a heating system that's perfectly usable. That's not good for the environment, is it?
It doesn't always have to.
Tearing it all apart.
Only the ones that you fitted.
Only the ones that I fitted. Yeah.
Good comeback.
Stripping out a load of radiators, like they've got like perfectly good double panel radiators in there, stripping them all out and carting them off to the tip and sending them to China to be melted back down again.
I can't disagree, but the other side of that is we've all lived in those student houses where that radiator's been there since the first system was installed, and it's been painted 19 times, and there's every chance that that system, even on a gas boiler, is going to work better with a newer radiator there. And what we should allow customers is to be able to have an option to do that within a time frame and a budget that they can afford, rather than you've got to do this in order to tick a box to get the money.
Get the heat pump in and then change radiators.
And tweak
we
around
talked
it.
about that last year, I think, didn't we?
So
we are again.
I was going to say, it's like you said before about the house there that's got the underfloor heating. There's only so much underfloor heating you can put in a room. Then you're looking at, like you say, having to put a K3 radiator in to fulfill MCS. But the heat loss has never been met of the room with the underfloor heating. So they say it's a chicken and egg situation.
What was his heat loss like as well? He was really well insulated as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was a really low heat loss, to be fair. It was just that, you know, the underfloor heating had been designed for a gas boiler running at 70 degrees, and a heat pump was designed to run at 40, or, you know, in this particular space. We could have done a lot of different things. Andy is in Essex. I am in God's own country, Sheffield, South Yorkshire. So, you know, there's a bit of a distance issue. If he was on my doorstep, I think we could have definitely done something. But I don't want to...
Andy, you've got to let it go. You need some therapy, mate, honestly, really. Swetta, you were going to come in and make a point just...
I don't know, these guys have really distracted me now. I think I wanted to say, you know, when you think about a property, and we're talking about ripping things up and trying to understand it better, but it's also understanding your actual dwelling. You know, you've got the heat loss factor as well. There are so many components when it comes to upgrading the heating. And I guess there is that level of the engineer or the installer who's there and who's kind of surveying the property and planning what needs to be done. It's communicating with the customer. You know, it's all very well telling somebody to come in and give you a quote, but if they don't break it down and they're not able to try and educate that customer so that they understand exactly why they're paying for it or why something is a little bit more expensive, then we're really not going to get anywhere.
And ever it was thus, because we talk about this every year on this panel to the point, if you've been to these panels before, you'll be bored by this, but we say it's a question of education. Who's going to take responsibility for that education?
The government.
Right, and think again.
Yeah.
Where is he? Where's that MP?
Well, so the Warm Homes Plan does have some provision for advice hubs. Great,
Yes.
brilliant. You know, at the moment, I think the best person who's doing it is Dakin. They have got their own centres in lots of large cities where people can go to. I know that they've had that model in Ireland and it's worked really well. But we do need that. I mean, back in the day when we were moving from coal to town gas and then British gas, there was a showroom available for you to walk in to be shown a cooker, how to cook a chicken in a gas oven. How do you heat your home? What does it look like? Have you got any questions? And that was all done through British Gas showrooms, which, you know, I used to go with my nan and pay the bill. We need that, but for all of these renewable technologies and everything to do with retrofitting your home. And that should be a government spend. And it is mentioned in the Warm Homes Plan, but it's just the staircase of my Barbie house and it's not arrived yet.
So I think one of the...
Go on, Emma.
As I say, you just said like about that with the education. And that's one of the things you'll find if you can stand and have a conversation with somebody. It's like these events that we've been going to, the trailers, and you can stand and have a conversation and literally after 5 minutes they can be like, okay, all right, I get that now. I get how it works. I get what you're saying and I get why we need to do it. But I mean, one of the biggest questions you've got to ask them first is why. You know, what's your movement for this? Why do you want to go this way?
And yet it shouldn't be that way,
No.
Emma, should it? It should just be, how much money am I going to save? And right now, we know this particular arena has got some of the best installers in the UK. I mean, that's why we have the Installer of the Year award. You'll see them all here. And even with all of their expertise to give you the top of the scops of your 4.7s, you know, you're asking a customer to break even for a spend of £7,500 to £9,000. If you had, you know, the spark gap is mind-blowing. I don't matter what political party you're in, to put people's gas up in a cost of living crisis to reduce somebody's electricity who can afford a heat pump is not going to win any votes, nor does it help the Treasury. However, targeted heat pump tariffs can work. There are out there time of use tariffs, but we're relying on the beneficiaries of the big six to provide them, and they can pull them at any time, as we saw with OVO's 15p for Valent. If we had, you know, bring your MCS certificate, choose your energy provider of choice, knock it in there and you'll get 10 pence a kilowatt, then all of a sudden, I'm sorry, it's a bit like EVs. £2 a month to power around town doing my shopping versus, you know, 50 quid a month on, or a week on diesel. It becomes a no-brainer. We then get the momentum of more people buying who are able to pay because they can see the savings, which then produces more installers, more goods, you know, and you do get that momentum. If you build it, they will come. Prices do come down, and so on and so forth, you know. But it's got to be driven by some kind of targeted assistance on the spark gap.
And we say the same thing every year. And he's just walked past the administration. Otherwise, does anybody have any questions or comments they'd like to make? They're very happy to take any questions from the floor. Yes. Is that, no, you're just stretching. She's bored. She's stretching. I thought that was 2 questions you wanted to ask. No, okay. Talk about umbrella schemes to help installers get more experience of heat pumps without having to transition their whole business. What's your opinion on those? Anyone jump in on that?
I mean, yeah, there's umbrella schemes and there's umbrella schemes.
Right, okay.
Yeah, there's people that are there that are really employing people, without throwing any names out there, that are employing people that haven't got a knowledge of what they're dealing with. And then you've got people that will step by step take your hand and take you to fruition with a project and sign you off with MCS. And that's the difference. You've got to be very
You've got to be
careful.
wary of.
Yeah, because you've got an umbrella scheme. It's like one of the companies that we use, I wouldn't describe them as an umbrella scheme because for me they're a bit more than that. I wouldn't compare them to other umbrella schemes because they're just heightened above that. So it's just looking into what they offer and what knowledge.
I think an umbrella scheme is a good thing. You know, you don't want to get into a position where, I don't want to name names because we work closely with them as well, but, you know, a certain compliance, you know, you just go there, you get a certification, and it's just a piece of certificate at the end of the day. You need to know what you're doing. You need to have that hands-on experience. And I think from a heating perspective, I'll speak for my heating members, you know, like your Valents and your Mitsubishis and your Dakins, you know, they've got some absolutely fantastic training that they do. And it's really great to see the apprenticeship things that they're doing and kind of really bringing the young people as well. You know, you talk about supply chain there as well. But part of an umbrella scheme, it just kind of opens up the opportunity to train apprentices, the younger generation. You know, we need some of those bodies. You know, the gas man over there, you know.
Gas man God.
The gas man God. I think it's also, you know, how do we reel in people from your side of the industry into that for an electrification perspective? Don't slate it, gas man, because we have to electrify. You know, we've got the gas boilers, but I think it's going to be there for personal thoughts on this. It's going to be there for a very, very long time. It's going to take time to get to electrification. And we're still going to need those. Let's not talk about hydrogen either. But it's a slow process. And that scheme, you know, that umbrella scheme is going to be, I think, quite critical as we move forward in the next few decades.
I don't disagree. And to Emma's point, not all umbrella schemes are equal. But you're absolutely right. The point you made earlier about being able to speak to a consumer in confidence, you're not going to get that from a compliance 3-day tick box course. One of the reasons Nesta did the, you know, Start at Home program was, you know, enabling installers to install one on their own, gives them that much more confidence to go on and speak to a homeowner about the you know, the whys, the wherefores, what you did, why you do it. Umbrella schemes are definitely a way forward because, you know, there's two parts to a heat pump business. There is the design and the heat loss, and then there is the installation, and there are fantastic amounts of really good installers out there who don't ever want to do a heat loss, and that is fine. So they've got an umbrella scheme, they can go there, somebody else has done the heat loss, they're just going to turn up, there's your schematic, away you go, install, go. But it's those that nurture their installers that are the better schemes, and there are unfortunately ones out there. I know MCS are working on better installer auditing for umbrella schemes, but you know, they have been given a bad name. I think it will get tighter, and they definitely have a place.
Sorry, just one thing there. It's a partnership for success, isn't it?
Nice. Partnership for success. Ian, go on.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, really, like, as my point of view as a solo independent engineer, one-man band, it's like trying to actually become MCS accredited myself is, I don't think it's possible, really. Or if it is, it's, you know, it's going to take over my whole life. And then all the admin, the paperwork and everything that you've got to do on it yourself. So an umbrella scheme, it does make it accessible. It does bridge the gap. So it allows people that are interested in the technology a way to get on board with it. But at the same time, for me, I'm very used to being in control of everything that I do in my company. So when you're like allowing someone else to be part of it, and then you've got to sort of go between the two, it can make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. It's, you know, it works and it's a good way to do it, but you do lose a little bit of control.
It's a word called trust, and that's what you've got to come down to at the end of the day.
Yeah, but you know, when you've run a business for so long
by
yourself,
I get it,
and you know how things do. You do gas boilers day in, day out. You're responsible. The customer rings you. There's a problem. It's on your doorstep. You know, it stops with you.
There's also a reputation to protect.
Of course.
Yeah.
And it's always going to come back to your doorstep when something goes wrong. So your lovely little umbrella scheme you popped up above me and taken the money from me so I can get all the draw-ins and the heat losses and everything, right? If something goes wrong with that in 6 months' time or 9 months' time, where's my umbrella scheme? Are they going to come round on a Friday night and fix it, or is it going to be me and Ian?
The new MCS means that actually it wouldn't be your problem. You could run away and it would sit with the umbrella scheme.
They will come back to us. They will come back to me and Ian, and being good, conscientious installers.
They'll come back to you as the people who installed it. Forget about schemes now. You're the people who are in their house.
Yes.
Doing the install.
If something was wrong with the umbrella scheme side of things, who's getting the...
Okay,
where's the shit hitting the fan for that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, obviously there's a lot of schemes out there now. You know, we spoke to a lot of them before and stuff, but I still think just your general everyday engineer, they still get very, very confused by the whole thing. Like, there's not a clear picture where you can just ring up someone and they just say, I don't know, Emma might tell me that I'm wrong there, but they just don't quite get it. They
Yeah.
don't know how the process works. Like, they don't know what steps you've got to go. Do they go around first? Who supplies materials? Who does this? Where's the VAT
And why
go?
would they?
And
Why would
there's-
they?
There's a whole load of things that your everyday installer just
Yeah.
doesn't quite understand.
Yeah, no, I get it. Let's just move on a little bit if we can. Emma, I'm going to pose this to you two. We talk a lot about heat pump installs, but what about the servicing and repair side? Are we training enough installers on the servicing side?
I mean, for me, we do hold specific servicing courses,
Right.
and it's there. These aren't, the occasional thing. We do this on a weekly basis.
Yep.
And it's, it's up to us then to kind of pull people in. I've seen more of an interest in the servicing side with people coming in and taking the courses. But for us, I can only speak for Valent as a manufacturer, but we have the ability there to be trained up in that. It's finding the people that want that and letting them know that that's available to them.
I mean, good shout. Really good side hustle for a decent gas guy there. All of the manufacturers all do service and maintenance courses. There are thousands of orphaned heat pumps out there. There are a lot of people looking for... manufacturers are looking for people. It is, if you get into fault finding on heat pumps...
Something that interests you?
I mean, from my point of view, I don't think you actually do need to do very much either, do you? Don't you just take the case off and
It's
brush
a
the
Fiesta.
fan?
It's a light service and a Fiesta rather than a boiler.
Well, I mean, the IMS remembers the time when we used to sell them as service-free.
Is it money for old rope?
Service-free?
Service side of
They
things.
came... It was one of the features and benefits. It doesn't require a service.
Ian, would it interest you?
Yeah, definitely. Like Andy said at the beginning, anything that basically we can make money from, why wouldn't you do it? So if
And
there's
makes
a
you a
market
better
for
installer as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
it gives you the whole rounded...
Of course.
Holistic.
Like there's a lot of training courses that you can go on now, and that is something that I do actually need to look at myself. We talk about lots of other things, but that one's on me. I need to go and get involved with a bit more of that sort of stuff.
Maybe you've just hit on the gateway drug. We get the gas boiler guys into service and maintenance. They found out a bit more about it. Next thing you know, you're
Eureka.
installing one.
It's not going to happen here. Certain people I know. Go on.
No, like I say, I've pushed many an installer over to the servicing route. It's a good way to familiarise yourself with the product.
Totally.
So you'll send a few on, just go and do a bit of servicing, and actually they'll stay within that route because it's okay. We're doing okay here. And like Emma said, nice
It
little
is a
cycle.
place to start. It definitely is.
A place to start. Yeah, go on.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was going to say as well. Like, I'm not against the whole thing at all. I'm doing a
There's
job.
a but coming here,
no,
isn't there?
No. But it's kind of horses for courses a little bit as well. Some properties definitely lend themselves to it better than others, and I've got a total refurb job at the moment, and you're doing it from scratch, so you can get all your insulation in, you can get your underfloor down, you can get everything correct, and it works good. So we've got a heat pump going in on that one, but I'm using a local firm that I work with a bit, and they're dealing with all the MCS stuff, and I'm doing like the work basically. So it's another way of going about it, but.
This time always goes quick on this panel. Swetta, thank you for joining us today, because you jumped in at the last minute, so really appreciate you doing that.
My pleasure. It's a treat with the four of you.
It's a rare treat, as they say. Now, just final thoughts. When we see you next year on this panel, we're all a little bit older and whatever. What would you like to see making your working lives easier?
That Emma's still in heat pumps and she's not moved over to gas.
Is there anything particular, Emma? Anything for you?
Sorry.
No. I'm this.
No,
And that's not even from a.
So for me, I want the parts of my Barbie house, and I want them delivered tomorrow at pace, because I think that the Warm Homes plan has got enormous potential to do great things for the industry. We're just sick of waiting.
Yeah, go on, Swetta.
I've learnt quite a bit today. I was on a wiring regulations, wiring regulations panel this morning, and I had an installer ask me, what if I install a heat battery and it blows up and it causes a fire, then I'm going to be responsible. And it just made me think that we just really need to support our installers. And our
They need
message
help
to them...
in the nicest possible
Absolutely.
sense.
We've got to think about, for the Warm Homes plan, the stuff that the government's trying to do for electrification. They forget about the deployment the implementation, the delivery, this is all down to the consumer and the installer working together as well. It's what are we going to do to support that journey? How are we going to educate the consumer? I'd like to see me do in the next year is lobby government for that. You know, who's going to be, we asked earlier, who's going to be responsible for educating the consumer and supporting the installer? And it's got to be government. And I think that is what I'd like to see myself lobbying for in the next year.
Right, okay, good. Anybody else? Anything you'd like to see next year?
I mean, for a quick plug, we've gone a step above this year with the training, and we've
Right.
got a lot of available training. So, you know, that's one of the things that we
Lots
are
of
pushing
nodding
and
heads,
heavily
yeah, that's
supporting
good.
this year, yeah.
Yeah, good, okay.
I'd like to see the price of diesel come down by 20p a litre.
Go electric.
That's my prediction for next year. I reckon it'll be 20p cheaper.
Go electric. Go on, Ian.
For me, I would just like to say that, you know, I am doing more heat pumps, but I want to see it work better for everyone so that you can get more just basic installers into it simply. We're simple people. We need it to be easy, clear, concise.
Perfect. Did you want to have the last word or not?
I was
You have the
just-
first word, you might as well have the last word.
Yeah, well, I was just going to comment on the fact that, you know, get an EV, move to the electrification. It's coming whether you like it or not, Andy. It's just slow.
It'll be a race to the bottom if you...
Right, panel, go on. No. Listen, thank you. I hope you two continue to work, even if you don't actually see it through next year. We hope you'll come back next year. Will you come and join us again next year?
Absolutely.
It's been
Like
a
I
real
said, it's
pleasure.
like a treat.
Come back. We don't
So
really
it
want
is.
Kelly back
It's
though.
been great. Listen, thank you so much, guys. Would you give them a round of applause? It's been a great panel. And if anybody's got any questions, grab them now. 3 o'clock, going to be back here, the Polyplum Ambassadors 2026 announcement. We're going to find out who they're going to be. So join us then.